All right, today we're diving into a drug that is, well, a true paradox in medicine, ciprofloxacin. It's an incredibly powerful antibiotic, but it has a really complicated story. It's a lifesaver that also has a pretty serious dark side. So, let's get into it.
And this really gets to the heart of the whole thing. On one hand, you've got a drug so potent it's literally a frontline treatment for something as scary as anthrax. But on the other hand, it can cause a side effect so severe it can physically rupture your tendons. So how can one single pill be both a hero and a villain? That's what we're going to unpack.
You know, to really understand Cipro, you first need to get this one word, bactericidal. See, some antibiotics just kind of slow bacteria down and let your immune system do the rest of the work. Not Cipro. Cipro is designed to do one thing, kill bacteria. It doesn't inhibit, it eliminates. Think of it as a bacterial assassin.
So ciprofloxacin is part of a family of synthetic antibiotics called fluoroquinolones. And when it first came out, it was a huge deal, a massive leap forward, really. It was this broad-spectrum weapon that could take out a whole range of different bacterial enemies, especially some of the really tough ones.
So how does this bacterial assassin actually do its job? Well, it's not like a sledgehammer. It's much more like a precision weapon, targeting the absolute core of a bacterium's ability to live and to multiply. Let's break down exactly how it pulls this off.
Okay, this is where it gets really clever. Cipro uses a two-pronged attack. First, it goes after an enzyme called DNA gyrase. Just think of that enzyme as the little machine that neatly coils up all the bacteria's DNA so it fits inside the cell. Cipro blocks it, and the DNA becomes a tangled, useless mess. Then it hits another enzyme, topoisomerase 4. That one is essential for separating the DNA strands when the cell tries to divide.
And what's the result of that 1-2 punch? Total, catastrophic, and, this is the key, irreversible damage to the bacterial DNA. The cell is toast. It can't function, it can't replicate, and it dies off really fast. That's what makes it so brutally effective. Now, because its kill mechanism is so lethal, Cipro can go after an incredibly wide range of targets. And that's what doctors mean when they say broad spectrum. It's not just for one or two little things. No, it has a very, very impressive hit list.
And this table kind of breaks it down for us. Where Cipro really shines is against what we call gram-negative bacteria. We're talking about major troublemakers like E. coli, which causes UTIs, or the notoriously hard-to-kill Pseudomonas that you might find in hospitals. It does okay against some gram-positive bacteria like staph, but it's pretty weak against anaerobic bacteria.
So because of that power, especially against those tough gram-negatives, Cipro became the absolute go-to drug for some of the most serious infections you can imagine. We're talking anthrax, plague, severe pneumonia people get in the hospital, or deep bone infections that other antibiotics just can't seem to touch. It is, no question, one of the big guns in the medical world.
I mean, it all sounds amazing, right? A super powerful, life-saving drug. But with this much power,
yeah, there's always a catch.
And this is where our story takes a pretty sharp turn. It turns out that the same power that makes Cipro so good at killing bacteria can also cause some pretty significant collateral damage in the human body. And this led to some of the most serious warnings you'll ever see on a medication. And listen, this isn't just about a risk of an upset stomach. This quote comes directly from regulatory agencies like the FDA. They chose those words, disabling and permanent, for a reason, and when they started using them, it completely changed how doctors thought about this drug. These are what's known as black box warnings. That's the most serious type of warning a drug can have, and they cover things like tendon inflammation and, yes, outright rupture, most famously the Achilles tendon. We're also talking about potentially irreversible nerve damage in your arms and legs, and even severe effects on the brain, everything from confusion to seizures. And this risk isn't the same for everyone. For patients over 60 years old, that risk of tendon rupture goes up significantly. And if that person is also taking a steroid medication like prednisone, the risk jumps even higher. It makes prescribing it to older folks a really critical decision. But the list doesn't even stop with the black box warnings. Cipro can also affect the heart's electrical rhythm. And like a lot of powerful antibiotics, it can wipe out all the good bacteria in your gut, which can let a really dangerous bug called C. diff take over. It can even damage developing joints, which is why its use in children is so limited. So you've got this weapon that is both incredibly powerful and potentially very dangerous. What do you do?
Well, the medical community realized they had to change the rules of engagement. You just can't use a big gun like this for every little fight.
And this slide really shows the new reality. Doctors are now strongly advised not to use Cipro for common things like a simple UTI, a sinus infection, or bronchitis because there are safer options. Instead, Cipro is now reserved for when it's absolutely necessary, for those severe infections where other drugs have already failed, or when lab tests show the bug is resistant to everything else.
Now, if you do have to take it, how you take it is absolutely critical. You cannot, I repeat, cannot take Cipro at the same time with dairy products, antacids, or supplements with calcium, iron, or zinc. They will literally bind to the drug in your stomach and stop your body from absorbing it, basically making the dose useless. You have to space them out by hours. This chart shows you exactly why. All these things, calcium, iron, magnesium, zinc, they are the culprits. They basically act like magnets. They grab onto the ciprofloxacin molecule and don't let go, and your body just can't absorb the combination. It's one of the most important things to know about this medicine.
So it really all comes down to this one simple but really profound calculation. Ciprofloxacin is still a vital, life-saving drug, but it's a drug that should only be used when the benefit, curing a serious, maybe even deadly infection, clearly, without any doubt, outweighs those very real and significant risks.
And that leaves us with this final, bigger question, doesn't it? The story of ciprofloxacin is a powerful reminder that in our ongoing war with bacteria, just making stronger and stronger weapons is only half the battle. The other half is learning the wisdom to know when, and maybe more importantly, when not, to use them.